Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Real Music. Hope you're doing good out there. Well, get ready, get excited, because on today's show, it's country singer and actor John Schneider is here talking about his brand new single. It's called She's Worth It. Such a great song, very patriotic. Need to check it out. And the video, so awesome. And of course, we got to talk about the Dukes of Hazzard, or the Duke Boys, as I used to call it when I was little. Me and my brother pretended to be Bo and Luke Duke. We were the Stuckey Boys, and I was Luke and he was Bo because of our hair color. So it's just natural that we would love a show about two guys driving around on dirt roads, just like I grew up on right here in South Alabama. So I know that you're going to enjoy this. He talks about his career, his music, and a lot more. Yes, so stick around. Here we go. Here he is. Here's John Schneider. But tell me this now. How old were you when you started the Dukes of Hazzard? You were just a teenager, right? When you first got the
I
role?
was
Is
I
that
was
right?
18. I was 18 years
Wow.
old. That was a
Wow.
long time ago. Long time ago.
Long
Yep.
time ago.
A long, long time ago in a land far away. Yep. I started Dukes at 18 years old. That was 1978, and it's been quite remarkable. It's if anyone had said I was still going to be around at this time in my life, that I would have said. Remember, Elvis died at 42. So
Right.
by the time Elvis was my age, he'd been dead for 21 years. So it's been quite a ride.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that you've been doing in your career. And I know, though, that the Duke Boys was a biggie. And I know you're talking about, people are still talking about it to this day. Does anybody ever come up to you, like on the street, and go, "Hey, Bo, how's it going, Bo?" And you're like,
Oh yeah,
"That's not my."
oh yeah, they do, and I answer, and it's but I do say, "What's my real name?" And they say, um, "John Schneider," right?
Uh,
So that's good. So
that's
it's good. I
that's
say, "Okay, what do you want? What do you need? How can I help you?" I just did Gary. I just finished a car show up in Monticello, Iowa, and there were people
awesome.
older than me who watch Dukes. There were people 4 and 5 years old who are brand new Dukes of Hazzard fans. So for a
That's
show to
so
have
cool.
had that kind of longevity, it's really really remarkable, and I'm so proud to be part of it.
Sure. Um, and I know you probably get these questions asked a lot of times, but like when you first got the role, uh, how did you get it? And what was the first thing you did when you got, to the set and everything? And, you know,
Well, I went through the audition process. I was 18, but I had done theater for 10 years by that time.
all
So the week I auditioned for Dukes, I auditioned for The Great Santini, which was a movie with Robert Duvall. I auditioned to replace John Travolta in Welcome Back, Kotter, and I
oh,
auditioned
wow.
for the Dukes of Hazzard. So there was a lot going on. But the process of getting the role of Bo took. I was sent a first class round trip ticket from Atlanta to Los Angeles, $300, 1978, first class.
Wow.
I was supposed to be there for a week, supposed to audition on Friday and come back and then wait and see what happened. But I was there for 5.5 weeks, and they were looking for chemistry. So apparently, Lorenzo Lamas and I didn't have it. Apparently, Dennis Quaid and I didn't have it. But when Tom Wopat came in, there was something about the instant relationship between Wopat and Schneider that just seemed like it had been a lifetime, and it still does. It's very interesting when you see Tom and I together. It's like we've known each other all of our lives. Now we've known each other more than half of our lives, but still, that started from Hello. Warner Brothers and CBS both recognized that, so they cast us. I don't remember the first thing I did on the set, but I remember the first thing I did when I got Dukes of Hazzard was pay my car note off. Didn't want to have a
That's
car
how you
note.
are.
Yep. So I took my per diem. It was $25 a day, but it was $25 a day for 5.5 weeks, and I paid that
Yeah,
car note off. Yeah. So
that's
it was
awesome.
like, oh my gosh, this is great. But I felt like
Well,
the show was going to just take off. It was just the right time for the Dukes of Hazzard.
Right. So many good shows back then. I mean, you don't have those kind of shows anymore, of course, that those
No.
and I don't know. I mean, why do you think that's the case? I mean, what would be your just plain and simple answer why there are no more shows like that?
Oh, well, there's a thousand channels, or there's so many. They can't really afford to be that picky anymore. But in 1978, 1979, there was a thing called, well, first of all, there are only three networks: ABC, CBS, and NBC. So if you were on one of those networks and we were CBS, then that meant there had to be a certain quality, there had to be a certain something, or you never would have gotten the green light. But during that time, there was something at the networks. There may still be, but they're very slack now, if there is, called standards and practices. So standards and practices dictated what you could and could not do at 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So we were kind of forced into a certain moral compliance on Dukes when we moved from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock that I don't think exists today. Now it's all kind of sensational stuff, and anything that can garner good ratings, they'll do it. And the business side of me doesn't blame them for that, but my moral compass is offended by that. So that kept us to a certain. They used to call it the prime time was like 8 o'clock was the family hour, right? We were right after Dallas. I'm sorry, right after the Hulk. But we were right after dinner. Everyone had come home from work. They washed up. They probably had a quick dinner. Then they started their evening of television on Friday, and it was the Hulk, and then Dukes of Hazzard, and then Dallas. So that was all very, very calculated to keep people sitting down and watching the same network for a 3 hour or 4 hour. I think Knots Landing might have been on after Dallas. I never stayed up that late. I still don't. I just can't. I can't. Yeah. So there was a certain structure that kept people more. I won't say honest, but there was a structure that kept the morality of the evening on a very even keel. Of course, right. Dallas, there was none. Dallas, but that was 9 o'clock, and then whatever was after that was 10 o'clock. So it was even I guess worse. But now you'd find a show like Falcon Crest on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which used to be reserved for ABC after school specials. So sure. I think the addition of cable and the addition of the internet and the ability for anybody with a camera to have a television show, I think really, really kind of killed it. It killed the innocence of television.
Right. Yeah. Sadly, you're right about that. Yeah. That's a good answer to the question. Well, tell me.
An orange motorcycle just went by, and it had an 01 on it. I promise you. It was a mini bike. Really? It was orange with an 01 on it. Yay.
There you go. He'll have to find out. Maybe you'll see this. Maybe you'll see this and go, "That was me." Going,
right. Cool. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up? But you were younger, and you're around all these guys. A lot of the actors on the show I know have been around a while, so they were already used to a lot of these TV shows and things like that. And I know that everybody on the show had a different personality. It had to be fun and exciting to see those characters come to life, like Boss Hogg and Uncle Jesse. And,
oh my God!
And and you're like, whoa. They're so good at this. How did you feel when you just saw them doing their thing? I know it inspired you.
I was the big thing for me was I knew Sorrel Book as Archie Bunker's boss, or I knew him as I think a 3 or 5-star general that came in on MASH occasionally, or maybe only one time. But I knew him from, it was like, oh my God, I know him. But Denver Pyle, I had watched him on the Doris Day Show. I had watched him on the Andy Griffith Show. I had watched him on Grizzly Adams. I'd seen him in John Wayne movies. I mean, I was a big, big Denver Pyle fan. So that was, what a privilege and an honor to be working alongside of him. And Jimmy Best. all the Twilight Zones, Left-Handed Gun with Paul Newman. More recently than that, it was The End with Burt Reynolds, Hooper with Burt Reynolds, which I think is the first time Jimmy Best started to utter, he started with that. He did that a little, kind of the on Hooper with Burt. And there was no bigger star in the world than Burt Reynolds. And we would see Burt on occasion because he was a big friend of Jimmy. So the biggest star in the world would show up on the set from time to time. So it was a remarkable, wonderful, magical time for me. And, now I am Denver Pyle. It happened. And I played, in fact, I did a movie out of the studio a couple of years ago called Christmas Cars like driving cars, where my character's name is Uncle Denver, in honor of Denver Pyle.
Awesome. That's so cool.
So I was a kid in a candy store, just much like how you felt about talking with me is how I felt about talking with them. And I've never lost track of that, never lost sight of that. I think when celebrities stop being fans, then they lose it. They lose it. They lose that spark. They lose that magic that they showed up to the party with. And I don't think I ever have. I'm still a fan of Dukes. I'm still a fan of the people I work with. I'm like, oh my God, I work with Kirk Douglas. How is that even possible?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and watching those shows, they just, and I know for like when I was that age, it really drew me in, and it was just like you were glued to the set and you're watching all these things happen, and the stories were like fascinating. What do you think the number one appeal was for everybody watching? I mean, what do you think that drew them in so much?
For the Dukes, it was, it's same thing with Smallville, I think, although Smallville certainly had, the Superman element or the boy who would be Superman element. But it's celebrating people who live on a dirt road. There are more people in any given day, in any given century, that live on a dirt road than live in a high rise. And I think Hollywood continues to forget that and thereby neglect that entire demographic. Dukes of Hazzard and Smallville celebrated rural America, celebrated rural Australia, celebrated rural everywhere. And we became the flagship of those people, one of which I am. I'm a dirt road guy. I'm a gravel road guy. And I don't want to change that. I stay in hotels. I have I'll stay in a condo somewhere, but in my heart and soul, I'm a dirt road and terra firma person. So when people watch the Dukes of Hazzard, I realize it was fantastic that the cars jumped and didn't need to be repaired afterwards, but still, they saw themselves. They saw the need and appreciation for community. Same need and appreciation for community that they have still. And I think that's why Duke still continues to gather audiences. It's fun to watch, but it's really, there is, go back to the moral compass. There is a moral compass that's part of Dukes of Hazzard that is, it's indescribable, but here's another big word, irrefutable. It's at the core of every episode of Dukes of Hazzard is community, family. We need each other. We need to be here for each other, and we need to stand up for each other. That sermon will preach in 1979, and it'll preach in 2024 and 2040. It'll never go away.
That's right. I totally
and we
agree
meant
with
it.
that.
It didn't help. I mean, it helped that we all meant it. We all felt that way. People that created the show, Guy Waldron, Bob Clark, people that wrote the show, Miles Wilder, all the folks that directed the show, we all believed that. We weren't just kind of putting that on. We believed it. And one of my first lines of dialogue in Dukes was, I choose this life, not because I don't know any better, but because I believe it is better. So we choose these storylines, not because we don't know any better, but because we believe they are better. And that rings as true
Right.
today as it did in 1978.
Awesome. That's really good. Um, and and that, I guess people probably need to hear that. All the ones growing up and watching, and people that hear what you're saying, is we probably need that in our hearts, to understand how it used to be, and appreciate those times when you weren't getting in trouble for everything that you said that wasn't
Oh
to
my
their
gosh.
liking, right?
Well, and then you
I
you
know.
also fall, yeah, right. You also fall prey to having people say what you meant. They find things that they can twist and turn, and then they turn that into something you didn't say. Certainly something you didn't mean. I mean, we're talking about the every dog needs a pee on a tree. I say that. I'll bet you not since then, but I say that a couple times a week, meaning everyone has a right to their opinion. That's what that means. Everyone has a right to try whatever they want to. That's what that means. And if you
Right.
read into that, or you listen to that interview, you'll see how wonderfully complimentary I was of her, and still am. There's no greater voice in the history of music of any kind than Whitney Houston. There just isn't, in my opinion. And the first thing I said was that I think Beyonce there has not been a greater voice since Whitney Houston. That's what I said, but that doesn't get any press. But that's okay. I like to think that they must think somehow my patriotic soul is a threat, or they wouldn't come after me like that,
That's
right?
right.
Because if
That's
you're on the
right.
basketball court and you're not double teamed, then you're not much of a threat. So I'm gonna look at the bright side, like I think my uncle Jesse would say when you're faced with a big pile of steaming manure. All right, keep digging. There's bound to be a pony in there somewhere. So I'm going to find the pony in this somewhere somehow.
Well, it sounds like they're doing the digging, trying to find the thing. But all the stuff
Yeah,
that
but they've done it.
all they have to do.
They've done damage. They've done damage to me.
Yeah.
It's too bad, but that's okay. I'm still here. I keep posting my number one songs, and I've got five of them, so I can't do it for much longer. But I do have five,
Right.
which ain't
That's
too
something
bad,
to
as
say.
they say in Hazzard County.
Not too shabby. Well, tell
Yeah,
us
not
about
too
that now.
shabby.
Not too shabby at all. Yeah, let's talk about that too, because everybody loves you as Bo, and you were also at the same time you were singing, right? You were already singing. I think musical theater and things like that, right? So you're already
Oh yeah.
doing that stuff, and so how did you get really involved in just in the country music scene and really wanted to be a recording artist and get into that mode?
Well, oddly enough, the first time I got noticed was I was singing a pop song, a Lionel Richie song called "Still" on the People's Choice Awards. Scotty Brothers saw it and they said, "Oh my God, this guy's from Dukes of Hazzard and he sounds okay. Let's sign him to a deal." They did, and I that's when I recorded "It's Now or Never." And the title song "It's Now or Never" to that album is still the top charting Elvis cover of all time. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
So I did I think three or four albums with Scotty Brothers through CBS, and they were pop or arguably bubblegum, because I was a young man with big blonde hair, and Tiger Beat magazine was going crazy. But I ran into a
Right.
writer who said, your voice is really more suited to country. So I did an album called "If You Believe," and I paid for that myself. And then Jimmy Bowen at MCA heard that, and I guess had some meetings with CBS, and pulled me over to the MCA album or MCA label in Nashville, and that's when I did my first full blown record label country album, and that was called "Too Good to Stop Now." Two number one songs came off of that. "I've Been Around Enough to Know" and "Country Girls," and then, as we say, I was off to the races.
Awesome. And I remember those days because my dad worked at a radio station and he used to play your songs way back in the early '80s, and it was cool to hear Bo singing some songs. It tied into the whole, which it
Well,
tied it
yeah.
in, because I'm from South. I'm a country boy, and and let me throw this plug. I'm from Bruton, Alabama, home of William Lee Golden, who was in an episode of The
Oh, there
Duke
you
Boys.
go.
Do you
There you
remember
go.
that
Sweet
episode?
William. Sweet William. They're still
That's
kicking. They're still doing great.
so.
They're still doing great. I saw Joe
They're
not that long ago. Yep.
also, yeah, they're not calling it quits yet. Um, well, that to have a number one though, to have I know you had goals. You probably had goals as an actor, and when you're singing, you probably think about all the things you want to do in your career.
Sure.
What was it like though when you're getting the number one song? I mean, how did that hit you?
Oh, it was great, but I approached that with a lot of trepidation too because Dukes of Hazzard was so popular. So it wasn't until the second number one song that I realized, this is real. This isn't just because I'm the blonde guy from Dukes of Hazzard. This is because people are liking the music. So the music had to stand on its own. Um, and to give credit where credit's due, Jimmy Bowen from MCA, when he sent my first 45 to your dad, it said, "I've been around enough to know," it didn't have my name on it. Because he didn't want people to play the song because I'm the guy on the television. So people heard that song. It's a Bob McDill, Dickie Lee song. So of course it's going to be a great song. And they all said, "We
Sure.
love this song. We'll play this. We don't care who it is." And then they found out who it was. And they said, "Okay, we'll play it anyway."
Sure.
and
Yeah,
then it and
why
then it
not?
became number one. It became number one in I don't know how many weeks, maybe 12, maybe 15. We didn't have the internet
Right.
then. We didn't have the ability to spend a fortune on making something happen. There needed to be boots on the ground. People needed to go and talk to your dad, talk to the different radio stations. I was out there doing the circuit. William Goldman, all the Oaks were out there. Alabama was out there. Earl Thomas Conley was out there. Everybody was
Sure.
out there talking to radio stations and saying, "Look, man, I really appreciate it if you play my music." That really, I don't think that
Right.
happens anymore. I don't know, but I don't think that happens anymore. I think they do a call like we're doing now, but that doesn't show really any effort.
Right.
You need effort. Again,
Yeah.
people who
It's
people who grew up on a dirt road aren't afraid of hard work.
That's true. That's a good point. Um, yeah. And I know there's a lot of people that, like you said, that watch you and listen to you. They're all, living on a dirt road and understand where you're coming from. But you're also reaching people that don't live there, and you're giving them insights to how life is, right? So that you're painting a picture of country life, right? So that's a good thing for people that, I know you got fans all over the world that get to hear and see all that you're going through, and the stuff that you created on TV. I know, and your songs though, to reach somebody that's in another country, and appeal to their heart, through a song, that has to be something to think about, right?
Oh yeah, especially when you're writing. I write a lot more material now than I did way back when. I didn't write any of the number one songs, sadly. But now when you sit down with a songwriter or two, you're talking about world events. You're talking about how people feel. You're talking about how you feel. Trying to figure out a
Right.
cohesive way to put several points of view. Find out where those points of view differ. Find out where they're the same or alike, and craft a song, craft a lyric around that. So now, when you hear a song like "She's Worth It," the new song, that is I wrote that with Brandon Will, and we mean every word. I believe this particular song was inspired by God to be an anthem for folks in this country, and maybe in other countries too. But really, this is specifically about our perils and our tribulations in the United States right now. We cannot sit back and wait for someone else to fix this problem. This is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as my opinion is, this is our collective problem. So this is our collective responsibility. And the chorus to that song is, "That's why we won't give up. Hell no. In this lost world, she," meaning the countryside, the dirt road, "she's our hero. Freedom isn't free. It's up to you and me. Brother, I believe when it's time to toss the tea, she's worth it. My God, if that's not
That's really
inspiring,
good. That's
you know.
that's Lee Greenwood status
Oh,
there.
right. Yeah, I
It
can't.
makes
I
you
don't know if Lee.
right.
I don't know if Lee's heard this song yet or not, but I hope he has. Um, and then the second, and this stuff just poured out of us. Constitution isn't just a word; it's the glue that holds the whole damn thing together. My gosh,
Wow.
that's just. I mean, yeah. So I'm very very proud of this song. No radio stations anywhere will play it, of course. Um, it's it's important for people to know that my music is totally independent now. So if you want to hear it, you can go to Spotify. You can go to see the video on YouTube. Um, it's a great way to help independent musicians, singers, songwriters like myself get the word out, get their music out. And I still don't quite know how we get paid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I knew if we printed 100,000 LPs. If there was one left, then we sold 999,000, right? Or well, oh God,
Right.
we sold 99,000. I guess my math is still not
Right.
my strong suit, but you know what I mean. If we printed 10, we have one left. We sold 9. Now, you know,
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know. Since Napster, I don't know how. But obviously, some people are getting paid because they're you know they're making a lot of money
Right.
because they can afford the
Well,
advertising.
that's true. Well, a lot of them they tour and things like that, right? To make up. Are you going to do some show? Are you doing some shows coming up, or how are you?
Yeah, I've been doing some. I've been doing some largely acoustic with a couple of friends of mine. COVID kind of killed my whole traveling road show with the band and the portable stage and all of that. Um, Really, only the folks at the very top wound up surviving that. A lot of independent folks like me just had to go back in the barn, back in the garage, and shoot videos and hope people liked what they did. You know, I
Yeah.
have.
Right.
I'm not claiming. I'm not. You know, I realize I have a leg up because people know who I am, and I have a you know pretty substantial. I believe there are 26 albums before this one that I'm working on now. So you know, I do have a leg up, but still, I would rather work my butt off and sell 10 albums than work for the machine and sell 100. That's just my
Right.
nature. And
Right.
besides,
Well,
I won't do the accounting, obviously, but I'll give me an accurate accounting.
that helps too. Um,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Right. You'll look out for yourself. Um, but yeah, that's you know, when you're playing music after all these years, though, and you're still known for everything that you do, it's got to be, it's got to make you smile, though, to know that you're still active and people can still love you, even though there are haters out there, everywhere. But
Oh yeah, but
I always
you go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I know that you kind of let it slide, right? You kind of let it roll off your back, right? All that stuff.
You have to, yeah, you absolutely have to. But for everybody who has been lied to and does not like me, that was pretty bold. But for every new hater I have, I think I probably have 20 new fans, 20 new supporters. Because they know I didn't say what they say I said. You know, the other people are just reading the headlines. Uh, um, and I'm writing a song about that. About you know, don't just believe the lying headlines that come across your phone. Uh, so
Right.
you know, I'll find a pony in here somewhere. You know, there's a pony in here somewhere, and I'll
Right.
find it. But I think it's important to stay true to yourself, though. I'm not going to adjust
Right.
how I think or how I write or what I do to try to second guess this this machine that just will continue to run around and do and say whatever they want. Uh,
That's
and
right.
I'm not talking about any artist in particular. I'm just talking about the nature of people who have that kind of money to throw around. You know, the machine, the advertising machine that is behind that. Um,
Right.
that's why we're talking. You know, I'm trying to put the word out to folks who really are listening. to the whole.
Right.
They're reading the whole story, like Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story.
Exactly.
Those are the folks that I work for, really. I've never lost sight of the fact that I work for the people who watch Dukes of Hazzard. I work for the people who buy my movies from John Schneider Studios. I work for the people who listen to the music. I don't work for a label,
Right.
and I don't work for a studio. I did that.
Right.
I did that time, and I'm done with that. Not going to do that anymore.
Well, I know that there are people missing out though if they write you off because of something they heard, and they're missing out of all the good songs and the TV shows and the movies and whatever you do
Well, yeah,
because
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They're
yeah, but
missing
that
out because of
that's
life.
their right. That's their right, and I bet I've been guilty of that in my past. I bet I've been running somewhere and read something about somebody and formed an instant bad opinion about them. So I understand it. It's not that I'm immune to that. I'm sure I'm just as guilty. I'm not going to cast the first stone, or the second, but I'm going to keep making
Yeah.
music and movies. I'm just going to keep doing that, and
Right.
see what people think of it, because I believe the material will stand on its own. If it doesn't, then it should fall anyway.
That's right.
Gary, I hate
That's
to cut this short, my friend, but I've got another call coming in just about 3 minutes, and I
that's
need
fine.
to run. This has
Well,
been a
thank you
delight.
so much, man. I appreciate you. You'll always be Bo Duke to me, and
You'll
but
always
man,
be Bo Duke to me.
I
Thank you, Billy
man,
Joel.
everybody that very good. Everybody loves you from here, from Bruton, Alabama, and across the world. But thank you for still doing it and standing for what's right. And we love you, man.
You are
Thanks for
so
all that you
welcome.
do.
Send people to my website, johnschneiderstudios.com. That's my store. If you want to hear She's Worth It, just go John Schneider, She's Worth It. It'll pop up just like that.
Awesome.
I thank
They
you,
will check
Gary.
it
You
out, I'm
have a
sure.
wonderful day.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And there you have it, John Schneider. Still can't believe it. Wake me up. Talk to Pat Boone and John Schneider in 1 week. I'm just saying it keeps getting better and better. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and be looking for more cool interviews coming up very soon. And always remember to keep the music real.